across the country.
Good evening and welcome to the news across the country. Osun Governor calls for cohesion in building a formidable APC. NNPC assures Nigerians of sufficient PMS stock. Report of the week centers on the alarming rate of mentally sick among Nigerians. Police arrest killers of 2 officers in Jigawa State. Governor of the state of Osun, Mr. Adegbega Otola, has called on members of the All Progressives Congress to work assiduously in promoting the democratic structure of All Progressives Congress in the state. Governor Otola made a call at the strategic consultative tour to the people of Ife Federal Constituency held at the Ife Emudakeke Township. Governor's office correspondent Kolade Akpata has more on the story.
The venue of the event was filled to its capacity as members of the All Progressives Congress in Ile-Ife Federal Constituency came out in large number to receive Governor Adegbega Oyetola and his entourage, comprising his wife, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola, the Deputy Governor of the state, Mr. Benedict Alabi, and his wife, former Deputy Governors in the state, Senator Yola Omishore, Soko Adeleke Adewoyin, the Secretary to the State Government of Osun, Prince Wole Oyebamiji, the Chief of Staff to the Governor, Dr. Charles Akinola, and other cabinet members, party executives. The first port of call was the Palace of Ogunso of Modakeke, Oba Moses Oladejo Oyediran, Ajombadi III, followed by the Palace of Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Enito Ogunwusi Ojaja II, to pay homage to the 2 frontline monarchs and to receive royal blessings. Governor Oyetola addressing party faithful at St. Stephen's Elementary School B at Modakeke and at Enuwa Square in Ile-Ife, acknowledged and commended members of the party for their loyalty, steadfastness, and unflinching support towards his administration at all times. He said the maximum support he enjoyed from them has enabled his government to make meaningful impact in the towns and villages across the federal constituency. He charged the party faithful to allow the spirit of love, unity to be their watchword, as no meaningful development could be achieved in an atmosphere of chaos and disunity. Governor Oyetola used the medium to solicit support in order to consolidate on this achievement by informing them of his intention to seek re-election in the forthcoming gubernatorial election in the state. This is said who allowed him to continue the good work.
Wá wò pé tí wọ́n bá ṣe yẹn lóòótọ́ ó yẹ kí nínú àwọn ajáde lọ bá gbogbo ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tí àwọn ẹgbẹ́ sọ yìí o ṣe é fẹnu sí i ṣe é lọ́wọ́ ń bẹ̀ tó ti ṣe é ṣe. Inú dídùn pé ẹgbẹ́ wa àti ìjọba tí Ọlọ́run náà.
Earlier, the traditional rulers in Ile-Ife and Modakeke applauded Governor Oyetola for his giant stride in repositioning the living standard of the people and on the provision of quality healthcare services, road infrastructural development in farm settlements, Modakeke and Ile-Ife axis, and expressed their readiness to support his administration in all ramifications. The strategic engagement tour continued in Ila, Ifedayo, and Boluwaduro Federal Constituency today. Kolade Akpata, OSBC News.
The State Deputy Governor, Mr. Benedict Alabi, says disaster management is not the sole responsibility of government, but requires the collaborative efforts of all stakeholders to keep the environment safe at all times. Deputy Governor declared this at the flag-off of the distribution of relief materials to victims of flood and rainstorm disasters in Osogbo last year. Adebari Ejimakinde has the details.
No fewer than 1,600 people have benefited from the relief materials distributed to victims of flood and Restaurant Disasters of year 2021 in Osun by the state government in collaboration with the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Speaking at the flag-off of the distribution of the relief materials at the newly renovated Osema warehouse, the State Deputy Governor, Mr. Benedict Alabi, reiterated the commitment of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola's administration to ensuring effective and proactive disaster management in Osun. In order to realize the goal, he said, government embarks on public enlightenment campaign, disaster risk reduction, workshops, and updating of contingency response plan. The Deputy Governor described disaster as a retrogressive clock for any nation as it erodes recorded progress and development, thereby taking the nation abruptly back. Mr. Alabi pointed out that most of the disasters that occur in various communities, especially flooding, fire, disaster, building collapse, and others are human-induced, which are avoidable. He opined that disasters can be averted if people comply with certain precautionary measures and be vigilant. Mr. Alabi, who submitted that some people erroneously believe that disaster management is the sole responsibility of the government, employed those who have such thought to change their perception and realize the fact that disaster management requires concerted efforts of every stakeholders. He appreciated NEMA for the kind gesture and its consistent intervention over time, while assuring the judicious distribution and utilization of the items. The Deputy Governor, who was represented by the Senior Special Assistant on Special Duties, Mr. Sunkami Ajiboye, later presented building materials and food items to the flood victims.
I want to reinstate the commitment of the present administration in the state towards effective and proactive disaster management through public enlightenment campaign, disaster risk reduction, workshops, and updating of a contingency response plan.
In his address, the General Manager of Osun State Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Amos Adejinle, and the Head of Operation for NEMA in Ekiti, Osun and Ondo, Mr. Olusegun Afolayan, revealed that the development was the outcome of on-the-spot assessment and record taken by the government during the flood disaster that ravaged some communities last year. The materials, which worth millions of naira, were provided by the federal government to support the interventions of the state government towards cushioning the impacts of the flood disasters on the affected people. Mr. Adejinle stated that the administration of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola is determined and committed to disaster management at saving the lives of the populace.
This administration of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola is determined and committed to break the jinx associated to the occurrences of these disasters.
The beneficiaries of the relief package, Mr. Adebayo Fasasi and Mrs. Kudirat Ayadare, expressed their appreciation to both the state and federal governments for the kind gesture, while calling for further dredging of the rivers and widening of the narrow bridge in the flood-prone areas to forestall ugly occurrence. Adebare Ejima Kende, OSBC News.
Meanwhile, to further make the state cleaner, members of the State Youth Empowerment Scheme are swung into action by packing heaps of refuse dumped on road meridians. A reporter side that Adeboja was the area reports that the popular Ayeto Road carriageway or Badi Soji Interchange or Nababono, Okebale Testing Ground and Stadium area have received the needed attention, expressing displeasure on indiscriminate dumping of refuse. The special advisor to the Governor on Environment and Sanitation, Prince Rufus Uyibile, wants that state government will no longer condone such actions. According to him, Governor Oyetola takes exception to dirty environment, hence anybody caught dumping refuse on road meridians will find him or herself to be blamed. A journalist cum political analyst, Mr. Adewale Adewumi, has noted that Nigeria's democracy is laced with greed and selfish interest. He maintained this stance while featuring on an OSBC radio personality interview program platform, pointing out that citizens are the builders of the society. Mr. Adewumi called on Nigerians to eschew the negative impact of money with its servitude tendencies and focus their desire on how to grow the country's nascent democracy. He agreed that some Nigerians have genuine desire to serve the nation but are not financially stable, saying money has been played up as a profound determinant of the country's political status. On the issue of fuel subsidy, Mr. Adewumi stressed that until the country revamp its refineries, she will not cease to continue to witness stunted growth in the oil sector. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has assured the public that the company has sufficient stock of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, to meet the needs of Nigerians. The Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division of NNPC, Mr. Garba Mohammed, gave the assurance in a statement. Mr. Mohammed therefore advised the public not to engage in panic buying of petrol and to ignore all rumors that may suggest otherwise. President Muhammadu Buhari has postponed his visit to Zamfara State, slated for today. The governor of the state, Bello Matawalle, said President Buhari postponed the visit due to poor weather conditions that affected his flight to the northwest state. The governor further added that a new date for the president's visit to the state will be announced later. This is the news across the country coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation. Ilawiye Okebali Shubu, Voice of the West. Now, our next message. Personal opinion is like a matchstick that could cause destruction if wrongly used. Always use towards building a united nation. Recently, the World Health Organization (WHO) released an alarming report that 3 out of every 10 Nigerians are mentally sick. Approximately, it means more than 20 million Nigerians are suffering from mental disorder. This may have been the reason members of the House of Representatives set aside a plenary to take a look at the report released by WHO. What is mental disorder and why are so many Nigerians so affected by the scourge? OSBC News reporter of the week examined this.
Quoting the World Health Organization statistics, which says that 3 out of every 10 Nigerians have one form of mental illness or another, the House of Representatives at last week took time to debate on the alarming report, which says that over 20 million Nigerians are currently suffering from various degrees of mental illness or disorder without psychiatric health care. Mental illness, according to findings, manifests in mood disorder, anxiety disorder, trauma-related disorder, personality disorder, old age-related disorder, substance abuse disorder, or mental pattern that causes significant distress or impairment of personal functioning. Surprisingly, there is no mental health legislation in the country which could take adequate care of the over 20 million out of a population currently suffering from mental illness. Findings further reveal that only 130 psychiatrists are available to over 20 million citizens suffering from mental disorders, with few functional mental health facilities and inadequate mental health practitioners in the country. Mental health cases are left for traditional practitioners, hence the upsurge in mental health problems in the country. No doubt, the statistics are troubling, and the continued lack of a legal framework on mental health in the country is causing the situation to degenerate. Mental disorders also include depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, dementia, among others. Depression, which is the most common mental disorder, is believed to be affecting more than 265 million people globally. It is characterized by sadness, loss of interest or pleasure, feelings of guilt or low self-worth, disturbed sleep or appetite, tiredness, and concentration. Depression can be long-lasting or recurrent, substantially impairing people's ability to function at work or school and to cope with daily life. It leads to suicide. Dr. Benjamin Egunroti is a consultant psychiatrist with the Osun State University Teaching Hospital, Osogbo. He spoke on the increasing number of mental disorder caused by abuse of drugs and alcohol by youths in the country.
It is very alarming, extremely alarming, because if I have to add experience into the statistic, you will discover that it is even more likely to be more than that. And what can we do? What we can do is from the individual level, family level, community level, and government side. If individually, we must try as much as possible to do certain things. One, don't bite more than you can chew. Most of the young guys that we have outside nowadays, they want to get rich very quickly. They've been beating more than they can chew. They want to become the richest person at the age of 21, 22. And then we take them to all this Yahoo business, and you can do Yahoo and all the rest without taking drug. Intake of drug will give them problem in the brain. That is one. Two, even without drug, if you are into Yahoo and some other get rich quick method, your hope will keep on being dashed. And once your hope is being dashed repeatedly, likelihood that you have mental illness is there. And avoid stepping on people's toe, avoid people stepping on your toe repeatedly. Just learn how to control your emotion. With that, from the individual level, one will be able to maintain some emotional stability. From the family level, watch your words, watch yourself, watch your spouse. This person used not to behave like this. Once you see the way he's behaving, try as much as possible to raise alarm so that proper care could be taken. And even the family side, when it has occurred, know that this is medical condition. It is not spiritual attack. And once you know that, you will quickly take the prevention, the one that we call secondary prevention. You quickly discover and treat the person. From the government side, make available the social well-being.
Mental disorders are manageable. It is, however, important that we visit healthcare providers if one is not feeling well. Don't wait until the symptoms get bad. For Report of the Week, Adeyemi Abodeni reporting.
The newly elected chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners State Chapter has charged its members across the state to prioritize professionalism so as to make the state more habitable. Mr. Ghazali Agbola, who emerged the chairman of the professional body, gave the charge while delivering his acceptance speech shortly after the election and annual general meeting of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners Osun State Chapter held at Faculty of Environmental Sciences, Osun State University, Osogbo. Details are now presented from our studios. The chairman, on behalf of the elected officers, affirmed the commitment and dedication to do everything possible towards promoting and ensuring that town planners practitioners do not compromise their planned specifications with a view to averting any crisis planning related. Earlier, while speaking on the theme of the annual general meeting AGM, prospects and impediments of taming urban security challenges in Nigeria, guest speaker Commandant, Nigeria Security and Defense Corps, Ondo State Command, Dr. Ahmed Abodore, explaining that taming urban security challenges in Nigeria is a collective responsibility of everyone, noting that if the general public is forthcoming to supply security operatives adequate and effective information, it will be of immense benefit to tackle security challenges in the urban areas and even beyond. He noted that government on its part is trying her very best and making frantic effort towards decimating both rural and urban insecurities issue, but it is now incumbent on the masses to join hands with the government campaign against insecurity so as to make the society a crime-free. Other elected officers of the institute were Vice Chairman Mr. Olawoye Samson, Dr. Oyeleye Idowu emerged the Secretary. Mrs. Ibrahim Adeshina is the Assistant Secretary, while Ozen Akim won the position of Financial Secretary. Others are the Treasurer, Mrs. Olowe Munilola, Public Relations Secretary, Mr. Idowu Ayomide, Assistant Public Relations Secretary, Lukman Ayola, Auditor, Mrs. Abiola Lanike, while Mrs. Badmus Folashade is ex-official 3. To complete other vacant positions, Mr. Olayode, ex-official 4, Town Planner Olayode Olayiwola, ex-official 4. High points of the annual general meeting AGM and election of new officers were the reading of the last minutes, presentation and adoption of report, as well as inauguration of the elected officers of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Osun State. The All Students Association, Ora Secondary Commercial Grammar School, has made history by commissioning science laboratories and sporting kits for the improvement of academic and extracurricular activities in the school. Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola has the details.
Describing the event as an historic one for the presentation of laboratory equipment for comprehensive studies of subjects such as biology, physics, and chemistry, as well as a well-equipped library with notes and textbooks worth millions of naira to Ora Secondary Commercial Grammar School, Orai Bumino. The national president of the All Students Association, High Chief Odofi Sunday Adetono, noted that the gesture was the tip of the iceberg in giving back to its alma mater by the association. He further explained that the association left no stone unturned as it deemed it fit to encourage the students of the school on extracurricular activities by providing sporting materials, as the new metal goalpost replaced old bamboo goalposts. It also provided jerseys, balls, and other sporting kits.
The Student Association donated 2,000 copies of customized notebooks for the entire students, and library self-copies of curriculum-tailored textbooks for the junior and senior secondary schools that worth over 3 million naira.
Appreciating the gesture by the All Students Association of Ora Secondary Commercial Grammar School, Ora Ibomino, the principal of the school, Mr. Simeon Adefila, said that the students of the school would make judicious use of the educational materials provided, and the indelible marks made by the association would be registered in the hearts of the students. The event witnessed the presence of the Ashaoni of Ora, Obatinoye Atolagbe, chiefs, representatives of the Ministry of Education, members of the school management and Board of Governors, members of the Parents Teachers Association, students and members of the staff of the school. However, the association urged the State Ministry of Education to provide teachers for both science and arts subjects for the school to improve the educational development of the immediate environment and the society at large. Highlight of the epoch-making event was the commissioning of science laboratories, library, and donation of writing materials. Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola reporting for OSBC News.
The Elekusa of Ekusa, Oba John Makanjola, will tomorrow morning confer traditional chief title on some sons and daughters of the ancient town. A release by the spokesperson, Mr. Kunle Makanjola, says the approval for the installation was done after thorough consultation with families of the nominees. Venue of the event is the palace of the Lekusa in Odotin local government area of the state. The deposed traditional ruler of the Akure Kingdom, Oluwadare Adesina, is said the traditional ruler died at a private hospital in Abuja during a brief illness. His death was announced in a statement by the spokesperson for the Adesina royal family, the Oshokba ruling house. He was enthroned in 2005 as the 45th Deji of Akure Kingdom and was dethroned and banished from Akure in June 2010 by the former governor of Ondo State, Mr. Olusegun Mimiko, following a crisis between him and his wife, Bolanle. The late monarch was alleged to have assaulted and poured hot ashes on his late wife, which subsequently led to serious injuries and her death. The late monarch had denied the allegation, which led to his dethronement. He thereafter challenged the decision in court, but did not succeed. The Jigawa State Police Command have announced the arrest of members of a suspected kidnap gang believed to have murdered 2 police officers in the state. The gang also reportedly kidnapped the son-in-law to a popular businessman, Haruna Mifata, and carried out other criminal activities around the northwest axis of the state. No fewer than 2 persons were reportedly burned to death as a liquefied petroleum gas laden truck exploded in wee hours of today at Ohoro community in Ugeli North local government area of Delta State. Reporters said that properties including vehicles and buildings worth hundreds of millions of naira were breached down in the system. And now to sport. Nigeria will be attending the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing, China, with an athlete after making his debut at the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyongyang, South Korea. Adeyemi Abodorin has more sport updates.
The Ghana Football Association is shopping for a new venue for a final 2022 World Cup playoffs against the Super Eagles. This is because the Cape Coast Stadium may not be available for the first leg, while the Accra Sports Stadium may not pass the CAF inspection. There are suggestions that the game may be played outside Ghana should they not find a suitable venue. Interestingly, Nigeria is also in search of a match venue for the return leg. The Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos, which has hosted Super Eagles' recent home games, has been banned by CAF for being substandard. The MKO Abiola National Stadium in Abuja is now most likely to host the derby. The World Cup playoffs over 2 legs will be played between the March 23rd and 29th, with the overall winners advancing to the World Cup in Qatar. Meanwhile, Coach Austin Eguavoen has sent heartfelt messages to supporters of the Super Eagles and AS Roma's manager Jose Mourinho. Eguavoen, while appreciating the fans for their immense support, urged them to keep supporting the Super Eagles as the team will return more potent than ever. Eguavoen led the national team to a disappointing second-round elimination at the 2021 African Cup of Nations tournament in Cameroon. It was the first time the Super Eagles would be knocked out at the round of 16 stage since it was introduced to the Nations Cup. Watford FC of England have signed another Nigerian in a bid to avoid relegation this season. Samuel Kalu has joined from Bordeaux of France until 2025. The 24-year-old is the club's fourth signing of the January transfer window. On Tuesday, the English Premier League outfit announced the appointment of Roy Hodgson as the new boss to replace Claudio Ranieri, who was sacked. He will wear jersey number 28 for Watford. Shooting Stars Sport Club of Ibadan has returned to winning ways in the ongoing 2021 Nigerian Professional Football League season. The Oluyole Warriors, who has won only 3 games in their last 8 league matches, achieved defeat following their 2-1 victory over Kwara United. The Ibadan-based team came back from a goal down to light up the Lakers Salami Stadium. With the victory, the coach Edith Agoye Lads maintained the 15th position on the log with just 9 points. Nigeria will be attending its second Winter Olympics in Beijing with an athlete after making its debut in the 2018 at the Pyongyang, South Korea Winter Olympics. Nigeria will field a cross-country skier named Samuel Ikpefa at the forthcoming Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. Born in Annemasse in French Alps, Samuel Ikpefa activated his dual nationality in 2016 and will be the first Nigerian skier to qualify for the Olympics and the first male athlete to make the games. Sport Update returns tomorrow. My name is Adeyemi Aboderi.
And that was the news across the country, edited by Ulushola Egbodofo. And for more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening.